'Tis the season to shine with H&M. Discover the holiday collection and find fashionable pieces for your wardrobe or for under the tree. Get inspired and dazzle with this year's glam. From tuxedo styles, bow detailed pieces, impressive prints, and more. From unforgettable looks to unforgettable gifts. With fashion finds to home decor, find it all at H&M. Treat your loved ones and yourself this season. Shop in-store or at hm.com.
Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. See, that's much more better. My microphone, I had unplugged it and I plugged it back in, but it was still showing that it was plugged in. But it was going based, I think it was going based off of the laptop. I don't know what it was using to record, but overall it sounded like an old Vietnam walkie-talkie, and I'm like, fam, can't be having my audio sounding like that. So, but anyways, I'm gonna probably come off as a super fan when doing this episode. And here's the thing, I am a fan of the show. I wouldn't say that I'm a super fan. I don't be going to all the shows. I just make sure I watch all the episodes on Sundays. That's it. That's like the one show where I'm like, I'm not behind. I never miss an episode. I tell people, hey, I am busy. I'm watching this show. Don't bother me, okay? And then on top of that, finding a friend where I can sit down and have a live not like a live conversation, but we just texting back and forth to talk on the show. I'm saying, me personally, The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead are probably some of the best shows of our time, because it was a show I feel like to really get down in depth and talk on that show. Before Walking Dead, how many zombie TV shows were popular? How many zombie TV shows made a name for itself? I feel like after Walking Dead, that opened up the doors for so many zombie TV shows like Z Nation. Let's just look up some zombie TV shows real quick. Zombie TV shows. Most likely Walking Dead is going to be the first. Yep, Fear the Walking Dead, Walking Dead, World Beyond, The Rain, I guess that's a zombie show. Black Summer, that was good. Daybreak, never heard of that. Why they got Game of Thrones? Did Game of Thrones ever have zombies? Well, if it did, it did. If it didn't, it didn't. Z Nation. What are some other ones? Reality Z, I guess. There's a lot of different zombie TV shows. So The Walking Dead definitely paved the way for zombie TV shows. Obviously, zombie movies had already made its name, marking territories and stuff. But a zombie TV show, I remember the hype that Walking Dead was getting when I was 14 and that show was originally coming out. And it's crazy to think 10 years later, I'm still watching that show every episode, every episode, every Sunday, never miss a day. But I remember when that show was very first coming out back in 2011. And when that show came out, I remember everybody was talking on it. I remember everybody was watching it. I actually skipped out on trick-or-treating with my friends just so I can go watch that show. Faked the phone conversation, said that my mom told me I needed to come home when she was knocked out asleep. It was 10-something at night. And so, anyways, yeah, I lied to my friends that I grew up with, that friends I will hang out till, still with, till this day. But on Sundays, closed up. The only friends that I would hang out with on Sundays when it comes to Walking Dead is 4 Souls. Why? Because they're watching it too. So if I'm not watching it at my house, I'm watching it over at their house. That's the only way. But anybody else, I'm like, hey, are you guys going to be watching Walking Dead? Yes or no? That's all I need to. The fact that there's been times when friends have asked me, hey, Tyler, get on Xbox Live real quick. Nope. Walking Dead is on, and I need to see what Rick's going to do today. So, especially Season 2, that season was wild, okay? Season 2 of Walking Dead, I think, will be hands down the best season of all times. But everybody just seems like at some point in time, I think it was either when the governor had came onto the show or when he died, people just started trashing on that show. Why? That's just something that I just don't really understand, is that so many people like, because there's people that I know that used to watch the show, but they don't watch the show anymore, and they always like, oh, that show's still on, or that show, it was like, that show's trash, that show's garbage. Probably hasn't watched an episode since like what, yeah, season 4 or 5, and I'm like, how are you going to talk on the show if you ain't even watching it? You know, like that to me just doesn't, you like, my thing is that maybe if they, I don't know, yeah, maybe if they were to like watch the episodes and actually understand what is going on and realizing that, hey, this is what happens when you tell a story. Things will be talked about. Things will happen. So, every episode I've watched, there might have been some episodes where it's slow, but I guess I'm just one of those fans where I'm like, regardless of whether an episode is slow or got all these different crazy things going on in it, I'm still going to watch it. That's what happens when you're a fan of a show. You don't really care what other people have to say, what other people have to think. You're still going to be a fan of the show. And that's one of the things where I'm like, every time when I see Walking Dead like trending, or I honestly think that the TV show has haters, I'm like, fam, why? How are you going to hate on a TV show? Out of all things to hate on in the world, you're really hating on Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead? Like, oh my. So, but no, today, the Fear the Walking Dead, the episode was crazy. It was one of those episodes, it brought me back to like, I was shocked. Like I was like in like, oh my God, this really just happened. They really just did that. Wow. Okay. So I know not to ever join this show because I know that my character will get killed off instantly. And I'll probably be a lovable character and my character will get killed off instantly. But still, it's like people, they still trash on that show. And I'm like, why? Like, that's the thing. I never understood why people had trashed on that show. I guess, like, me being so caught up just watching it and not really caring about what other people had to say, I just never understood why. I had to say I started noticing that crap, like, maybe, like, last year, the year before. I just noticed it was, like, people was just constantly, like, trash-talking Walking Dead. And I'm like, fam, what has this show done to you? Nothing. Like, yeah, they might have killed off some important characters, but it's like, my thing is that that's one of the things I've learned to accept about that show, is that that's going to happen. You know, when lovable characters that I liked, when they started getting killed off, I was like, hey, you know, I'm going to have to, you just going to have to accept it. There's most likely a reason why they're doing that. They're not just doing that just to do it. There's most likely something going on behind the scenes or, you know, something, but it's like, lovable characters have always been getting killed off on that show, all the way from the first season all the way up to the very last season that played out of Walking Dead. There's always been some lovable character that's got killed off on the show. So my thing is, like, even with this last episode, to, you know, a little spoiler alert, but even with this last episode where they were given a backstory on Negan, and they were showing like his wife, how he got his bat, and how his wife was sick and how she died. That's actually a fun fact about that episode, and I think it's a really cool fact, is that the woman that was playing his wife in the show is actually his wife in real life. So I'm like, and she killed it. She honestly killed it in her first and last episode of The Walking Dead. But I was like, watching that and then seeing like, I actually started liking like his, well, I mean the character, of course, like, I ain't developed a crush for it. That'd be weird. Cause Negan, he be on some stuff where he'll like straight up like tell you a story and kill you. And I'm like, I mean like the character. I'm just saying, I like his wife's character in the show. But no, it's like you start to develop like a loving towards this character, and then when they die, then you're like, well, dang, man. Like, but it's crazy because it's like you already know it's gonna happen, but it's like just the build up to it, or when you eventually see it happen, you're like, wow, that is just sad. Like, and so you like realize like why he acted the way he acted and became the person that he became and stuff, because it was like, yeah, this man. It's like, that's the one thing about that show, and even though it's a fictional show, that's the one thing about that show, is that everybody has lost somebody on that show, to the point where it's like, them people are gonna be going crazy. I'm like, I always sit down and think about that every time when I watch Walking Dead, like, because I know on Fear the Walking Dead, the one girl on there, she was in high school, had a boyfriend, was living life, like, everything was cool, right? And then Walking Dead, it was like Daryl, I know they was like, because they came out with a video game kind of talking on Daryl's like what was going on with him when the apocalypse had started. This man was out hunting, his brother was doing whatever, Rick was a cop, Carl was in school. Lori, what job was Lori doing? I don't know. Maybe she was a stay-at-home wife, or maybe she had some job, but she most likely had a job. Shane was a deputy, but then as soon as that apocalypse happened, everybody went crazy. So my thing is like, regardless of what characters they add or what they do with the show, it's always going to be interesting. Because recently they just had the one guy that played as the cop in Terminator 2, and so like the bad like robot cop. So they had him in there. They had him in there twice. They had him as one guy, then they had him as the other guy's twin brother. And I thought that was the funniest thing ever. But at the same time, I was like, to see who his character is, it's like you're going to sit down. My thing is like, the reason why I give Walking Dead so much respect is because when you find somebody that likes that show just like how you like that show, you have things to talk about. There's going to be characters that you remember, and then there's going to be characters that you don't remember. And then whoever you're talking to, there's going to be characters that they remember, and then there's going to be characters that they don't remember. And I remember when I very first was like became friends with Priscilla from Four Souls, and when I found out she was a fan, because it was like all of my friends had stopped watching Walking Dead. Like one of my closest friends grew up with them. He stopped watching Walking Dead. So that was like the one person I couldn't really talk to anymore about Walking Dead, unless I was just telling him like, oh yeah, this is what's happening in the show right now. But no, Priscilla, like me and her every Sunday when Walking Dead comes on, she doesn't watch Fear the Walking Dead, because I think a lot of people don't. But at the same time, like a lot of people do watch it. But Walking Dead, though, it's like when I found out that she liked that show and she was watching it, from like every time when Walking Dead comes on, we're always talking about the episode. Soon as commercial break, we make sure we don't text each other during the show. We wait until commercial break, try to hurry up and send the messages as fast as we can. I'm telling you, I don't know how many times where I'm like, I'll count up the commercials and be like, dang, the fourth, fifth one. I'm like, I gotta hurry up and text and things. I'm like trying to put on food. Like, oh man, there's been times where I'm like, I've had to like slow down time for myself just so I can send out a text message, and I might be putting on some food for after the show goes off. Yeah, it's but Walking Dead, I'm like, the fact that it can get people to sit together and watch that show and like, just overall be entertained and just be like, oh my god, what just happened? What was that all about? I love a show like that. And Walking Dead, my thing is that the same like 14-year-old kid that I was 10 years ago when I skipped out on trick-or-treating for the last time of my life just so I can go home and watch Walking Dead, that same kid is still watching Walking Dead till this day. I have no reasons to hate on that show. I have no reason to stop watching that show. I've always have been interested in that show. Fear the Walking Dead. I haven't really watched any of the side stuff. I remember I did watch how that one, because remember like that half-eaten zombie that Rick killed in the very first season of the show. I remember I watched like a little back thing on that, and then it was like those web series or those like little mini episodes that they would do. But they came out with one, I think it was about some kids, and I didn't get a chance to watch that and stuff. I should have. I'll try to figure out somehow to watch it, but anyways, but yeah, I'm like, I just don't understand the hatred towards Walking Dead. It's like, I understand that they killed off characters that everybody liked, but I'm like, that's literally like any show that's like serious like that, where characters is gonna be, because I'm like, what other shows out there, or even not even shows, like movies, when you watch like a movie and then a character gets killed off, it's like, like people like that character, and it's like, I think that's why certain movies be having like bad reviews and stuff, because it's like, oh my god, I love that character so much, why would they kill him off? Oh, I hate the movie, I didn't like it, they killed off my favorite character, I loved him in every movie he's ever appeared in, and for him to kill them off, like, why would they do that, or kill her off? And I'm like, fam, it is a movie. It's just like, man, enjoy it, because my thing is like, two of my favorite characters that they killed off of Walking Dead was Carl and Glenn. Carl messed up a lot. We ain't gonna deny that. But his last like episode, that had to been the saddest episode of Walking Dead history. Him saying goodbye to everybody, and then the one thing that it did almost take me out, that almost caused me to start crying, was when his sister, Judith, when she's like, because Judith was like, Judith should have been like an 8-year-old kid like so long in that show. She stayed a baby for like 4 or 5 seasons, and I'm like, fam, ain't nobody gonna be a baby that long, I'm sorry. But anyways, but no, she was like kind of like, she looked like she could have probably been like maybe 2 or some 2.5. But Carl said some things to her. Next thing you know, she just started letting off like these screaming cries, and I'm like, she felt something. She knew something wasn't. She can't talk just yet, but she felt something, and she knew something wasn't right. And so yeah, she just started crying. I was just like, well, that just took me out. I'm like, I'm feeling sad now. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I might have not been right away with texting Priscilla, because I'm like, I just need a moment right about now. And then when Rick, his father, and Michonne, like his stepmom, had to hear him pull the trigger and kill himself. Like, you gonna tell me that that's not sad? And then you see Rick and Michonne just break down? Nah. I was like, that was crazy. That was some crazy stuff right there. And then what was really crazy was when Negan was all like, you failed as a father. And I'm like, you don't tell that to somebody after their son just died. I think that happened after his after Carl had died. But I'm like, you don't say that to somebody. There's like things that you say, and there's things that you don't say. That's not one of them. You don't say that to somebody. So, but and then when he died, it was like, man, the fact that it was like it happened like right in front of Maggie, his wife, and I'm like, I'm just saying like the names for everybody. So for those that don't watch the show or don't understand what's going on or whatever, but yeah, when Glenn died, I was like, wow. Like, wow. I'm like, and it was like, he said, I think he was just like, I will find you. And then Negan just finished them off. And I'm like, you know what? If Maggie does kill Negan, I'm like, it has to be her. Or it has to be where she forgives him. And then they have like a scene where they just kind of like embrace each other with a hug or something. Highly doubt that will happen, because even though they're acting, I can feel her anger when she looks at Negan. So yeah, I'm like, that show, man, it's brought out so many. That was the first show ever that caused me to shake, because I've gotten so nervous and just don't really know what's gonna happen and stuff. So I'm like, that was the first show that really caused me to shake, and I'm like, fam, why am I shaking? Like, what? I'm not even cold. I am warm right now. Why am I shaking? What is going on right now? And then you realize, like, oh, it's this show, and then got into me. So I'm like, out here looking like a crackhead for no reason. And I'm like, man, this show done got to me badly. So I'm always going to like Walking Dead, regardless of what people say about it. If you don't like it, hey, that's on you. But I'm like, there's people out there that like it. I just don't understand why people feel like, oh, I got trash talk it every time when it's trending or whatever. And I'm like, fam, just leave it to the people that actually do like the show and actually do watch it. So, but anyways, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Like and or yeah, if you're viewing it on YouTube, but if you're viewing this on the podcast streaming service, make sure you follow or subscribe, however it's set up. Subscribe to one of my 31 YouTube channels. I got a crap ton of content across all those channels. What else? Follow me on Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook just by searching up TMossBoss. Yeah, and until next time, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening, and peace.